Expansion of the playoffs. This is always a hot topic.
Well, I think it's in conjunction with what we're talking about, the difficulties with scheduling. Now, if you expand the playoffs, and I've written about this before, and it doesn't seem to be getting anywhere, but I don't think this, when you asked about the MHSAA changing their mind about the 300-mile limit, I think this one, they would be more apt to change their minds on, because I think it makes more sense.
So explain it.
If you have 256 now, you would have 512. Get rid of the 9th week. You make the 9th week the first round of the playoffs.
Get rid of the 9th week of the regular season.
So
which would actually take care of a lot of those issues that the OAA is having in terms of scheduling.
Yes, that would really
so you kill that bird.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. And it also, we're talking about Plymouth, who couldn't schedule games. They had trouble scheduling. Now they got the third-place team out of the Central Division of the Catholic League, and they also played Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central in the opener.
That's right.
So now they don't have those open holes, so to speak, where they have to go.
So you wipe out week 9.
And the problem, I've been told, that the MHSAA is concerned about, if they did that, there would be a lot of lopsided games in the first round. And like I told you in the email, that's what the mercy rule is for. If you get those types of games, the mercy rule is always in effect, and you still get lopsided games in the first round as it is now anyways. You see a lot of 70-14 games.
Yeah, weather plays a factor.
And you know what? So be it.
Right.
You know, you get that during the regular season.
You can still say you were a playoff team.
That's right. And I think it would add more excitement. More teams would get involved. You have more kids, how should I say, getting excited about the playoffs. And granted, you would have some 3 and 6 teams, for example, getting in the playoffs.
So how many teams get in?
With 512.
512.
Yes.
So
you have 600. Right now there's 607 that compete in football. So basically you're leaving out, what is that, 95 or thereabouts. That's okay. So you have the 1 and 8s and 0 and 9s, and a lot of the 2 and 7s not getting involved. And a lot of people want to actually include everybody, where everybody makes the state playoffs. I think that would be a little bit more difficult.
Right.
This is an easy.
Then you get some lopsided schools.
Right. This is an easy solution, and it would also.
And 5 wins and you're in. That would
no,
be a magic number?
I think you would just have to go by playoff points at that point. You know, you have the 5-12, and then you'd have like a cutoff point where maybe you get to the 3 and 6 teams, and then if there's like half the 3 and 6 teams get in and half don't, then you do it by a playoff point average, which they do now with the additional qualifiers. So it wouldn't be a huge rule change by any means.
So you're saying that this has been presented to the MHSAA before, and they've molded over?
Well, it's been talked about. The Coaches Association has not made a formal proposal to my best of knowledge, but there's a lot of coaches that would like to see that. And I think a lot of these rule changes have to start within the Coaches Association, whether it be in baseball, Coaches Association, basketball. They're the ones in basketball, and there's a lot of talk is, why don't we expand the season to 22 games, 24 games? Yet neighboring states like Illinois, heck, they play 26 or 28 regular season games. That's for basketball season. But you know, there's always talk of that, and a lot of people would argue that now you're adding more travel time. I'm talking about basketball now, more expenses and stuff, and I can understand that now. But this
football, it's not like that.
No, it wouldn't. It just get more teams involved. Granted, you might get some of those blowouts, but that happens anyway.
Schools would probably make a little bit more money. You'd have packed stadiums. We're talking playoffs now.
Right. And the association would make more money because you'd have more playoff games. They make money off their state tournaments. And I think it'd get rid of some of those, you know, oh gosh, we were 4 and 5. We just missed the playoffs. Or, you know, some, obviously, the 5 and 4s that don't get in as additional qualifiers. But
there are many.
And a lot of times injuries take part during the regular season where you're not full strength, but maybe at the end of the season you are. Maybe you would be more competitive at that time of year.
Right.
I understand. I understand football's a different animal. You can't treat it like every other sport, where everybody makes the state tournament like they do in any other sport. But I think you can add more schools and more teams to get more participation, and would work out much better and ease the scheduling issues. People wouldn't be so concerned about the magic number 6. Number 6 is the big number. They talk about it all the time.
Right.
You know, if they had the advent of, you know, doubling the playoffs in amount of teams, number 6 would disappear.
Right, and because of that magic number 6, we oftentimes see cupcakes.
Sure, I can't
mixed into the schedule.
I can't schedule them.
They know they could probably get 4, but they need those other 2.
I can't schedule them. I might not get my 6 wins. And the funny thing about it.
And that's why the OAs complain. They're like, geez, that crossover game is something that might prevent me from
coaches talk about, Tom, you got to be. And I said, why is that such a magic number? I mean, why is it so important to make the playoffs? I said, Tom, these coaches are worried about their jobs. Mm-hmm. If they don't make the playoffs in a certain amount of years, they might not have their jobs. That's a little bit too much pressure on a coach, don't you think? Heck, I gotta schedule this game so I can keep my job.
Right.
It's not.
You don't
that's
want
the way. That shouldn't be that way.
Whereas you mentioned in other sports, districts come, everybody's in,
and everybody's got a shot.
Everybody's got a shot. Absolutely. Okay.
We're just trying to make things better.
All right. That's a great place to be. All right. Next week, playoffs. We're going to get into it right here. We'll talk in depth. So make sure you log on to statechamps.tv. We'll probably put this up on our Facebook page too. So get active in the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. See you next week.